Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Webb here, back again with another edition of Kicking It. I have one of my, I've had a lot of fun with this guy over the years. Got to know him real well when we worked together at Kennett, and then stayed friends since. But we'll jump right into it. I'm real happy to have this guest on the podcast. This is Coach Luke Rayfield, right now of Hayti High School. Thanks for being here, Luke, man. I appreciate it. So we will just jump right into it, talk a little bit about your life for a while and see where it goes. So when and where were you born?
I was born in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and born June 17, 1988, man, 80s baby. You know,
80s baby,
and well, known fact about me, I was actually born, and the first thing that ever happened to me is I was rushed to St. Louis from Cape Girardeau. I had my lungs collapsed during birth.
Really?
Yeah, I was almost dead. And then about 3 weeks went by and finally made a full recovery, and I'm here with you.
Here with me right now.
Right
That's
now.
crazy. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Did they say why or anything? Do you remember why maybe that happened?
No, I remember, my mom telling me that it was just kind of one of them things that just happened. It was just happened during the birth process.
Were you born natural or C-section, or do you know?
Natural.
Yeah. I mean, dang.
Yep.
That's crazy, man. When you got a
rushed right out like 3 hours later, and my dad actually driving from Kelso, where we live. We live in Kelso, and he actually beat the helicopter there in St. Louis. That's how fast he drove.
But he was flying.
Mm-hmm.
Did so growing up, tell us a little bit about where you grew up, maybe when you were a little kid, pre-middle school, high school.
I grew up in Kelso my whole life. Grew up in Kelso, Missouri, small little town.
How many people is
500 people.
Really?
Yeah, man. It's
Okay.
It's right outside of Scott City. Grew up there. Just your typical kind of small town coming up, man. Everybody knew everybody. Kelso was basically 2 streets. That's all it really was. A lot of back roads that kind of led to different places, but it was, kind of your stereotypical small town growing up. I wouldn't have traded it for anything, man. My people in Kelso, I'm 32 years old now, and I mean, all of us have always stayed friends, and it's pretty cool. It's something you don't get everywhere.
Right. Now we see a lot of people coming from because you also teach JAG and things. You see when we go to places, see a lot of people come from the city and stuff, and it's just, I feel bad for them from a perspective of that, they may get that, but then again, they may not, and that's being in such a big place. That's tough for them, I think. So growing up, you got any siblings?
Yeah, I have a sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and she's 8 years older than me, and my sister's she's probably the toughest person that I know. My sister actually has cerebral palsy.
Okay, yeah.
And but she is, she's very tough, man, and she's bound and determined to she's never let anything define her.
Mm-hmm.
And man, she had to go through a lot of stuff when we were growing up, but now, she's married, has 2 kids, and lives a fairly normal life.
That's cool. Now, when just for the audience, a lot of people may not know, is cerebral palsy something that can be transferred from a mother to a child, or is it just something that just happens to one person and then that's it? A lot of people may think that that's true. I don't know. How does that work?
It's a birth defect. It's
okay.
Something that just happens randomly. I mean, it kind of can be in your genetic line, but it's a birth defect. It's not like something that's passed down from person to person or anything like that.
Really?
But yeah, and so she's actually pretty lucky. I mean, she has it, but she's not bound to a wheelchair or anything like that. She was able to walk, but it took years and years of physical therapy and all those kind of things. And she's a fighter, man. She's tough.
Really?
Yeah.
So are both her kids? Do they have it or
Nope.
no? So that's all good to go then.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good to know. I mean, there's a lot of people out here maybe tuning into the podcast that have no idea about that. And I actually have, my brother, he has cerebral palsy too. So that is one of the reasons we understand. Yeah, you understand about those things. Anyway, so that's cool. So you got a lot of tell us a little about some of your friends, maybe in middle school, high school, and what were some of the activities you did as a kid? Maybe not so much high school, maybe before high school. What's some of the stuff you did growing up in that small town with your friends?
Oh man, we was out all the time. We lived in a like I said, a small town, but we had a ballpark. They had
Okay.
2 baseball fields, and that's where you could find us. That's
Yeah.
where we was at the courts. We was at the fields. We had a big empty lot where we would play football, and stuff. And my best friend, my best friend still to this day, Cody Saucer.
Mhm.
We've hung out pretty much since day one. We grew up doing all that kind of stuff together, and it's we a lot of hunting, fishing, riding 4-wheelers, doing all that kind of stuff. It was, like I said, I couldn't trade it for nothing. I was very lucky in a lot of ways. We didn't always have everything, but we had a lot of fun, and we'd go around doing pranks on each other, doing stuff at each other's houses, and just good old time.
That's cool. Just being kids, man.
Being
Just
kids,
growing up.
man, it was there ain't nothing much like growing up in Kelso.
Yeah, that's cool. So, all right. So now you're growing up in Kelso, and then you get middle school, high school. So what? So does Kelso have a high school?
Kelso does not have a high school. Kelso has an elementary school that is actually in New Hamburg. It's
Really?
Kelso C7, and that's Kelso's public school. But there's a private school in Kelso, and that's St. Augustine, and that's where I was at in middle school, was St. Augustine.
Really? So was that like Catholic school?
Catholic school.
Really? I mean, dang, see, I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a town of 500, and it has a private school.
Private school in it.
So how many kids attended that when you were going there?
When I was going there, man, it was probably altogether maybe 100 kids.
Really?
Yeah, it was very, very small, but still had sports teams and everything like that, and we could always play, and
Did you grow up? Are you Catholic or?
yeah,